1, 2, 3, 4.
Bonus episode.
Bonus episode. Bonus
Episode of King of the What Now. Hello, future PreCure warriors, and welcome to the first day of middle school, the day when your life changes forever. Welcome to the bonus episode of King of the What Now for June of 2021. I'm your host, Joel. Huge fan of PreCure now, you know, like I've been a pretty good fan, but a big fan, but I've been, my fanness has only been getting stronger. Also, I am the hottest girl at school with the really long legs. People just can't help but stare at those legs.
Legs, what's on the menu? I'm your ghost of the show, Kat, and I also am a big fan of PreCure. I am enjoying this colorful show, and I'm the cure who already knows everything and is too good for you. I will never be friends no matter what you say.
F off, I'm too good for you. I'm surprised you weren't like a cat whose song can change the frequency of notes or whatever.
Oh
it was.
my god, my name is Kat and I'm not suspicious.
Yes. Perfect. Amazing. Also, in keeping up with the lore of PreCure, you are not a ghost. Even though you're transparent and objects pass through you, you're differently bodied. Does he ever actually say, like, I'm not a ghost, I'm blank? Or does he just say, I'm not a ghost?
He just says, I'm not a ghost.
Okay.
But it's resolved eventually.
I know. We did a bonus episode on that.
We did a what? That's what this is.
Okay. Shimmer down, sprinkle hair.
This is not a My Little Pony episode.
Okay, fine. So what we are doing this episode, it's a little bit different. In the past, we have reviewed, like a book or a video game or a movie or the first 13 episodes of a show or the entirety of a show, depending on its length and that sort of thing. But what we did today to prepare for this episode is we watched the first episode of all 8 seasons of PreCure that we have not previously watched. Asterisk, the 2nd and 5th seasons of PreCure are direct sequels to the 1st and 4th seasons, respectively. So because we are trying to go into these shows blind, we did not watch the first episode of the sequel series. So, clearly. So we have 10 seasons that we haven't watched. We only watched 8 episodes for this episode. The shows we watched were PreCure Splash Star, Season 3, Yes PreCure 5, Season 4, Fresh PreCure, Season 6, Sweet PreCure, Season 8. I love that I'm switching between PreCure and PreCure here. Smile PreCure, Season 9. Doki PreCure, Season 10. Happiness Charge, Season 11. And Hugtto, Season 15. I love that because we started with some of the more recent seasons. At first, it's like, we're just hitting every episode sequentially. And then we get to 11, we're like, we saw 12, we saw 13, Kat saw 14. Okay, and then we watched 15, Joel saw 16, we've already watched 17, 18 was last year, 19 is Tropical Rouge. So, near the end, less densely populated.
Absolutely.
So, this episode will be split into 2 parts. As always, I will keep track of timestamps, or at least editor Joel will. And so if you want to listen to us discuss a specific episode, you can go to that. Or if you want to jump to the second half of the episode where we kind of compare and contrast these 8 episodes against one another as opposed to just standalone episodes, you can do that as well. We watch these episodes in the Discord. The invite is available to anyone who wants it. Just DM us on Twitter, and we'll try to make sure that you're not like a robot or something, and then we'll let you join. But we watched in the Watch Together channel, and we were joined by our good friend Desperado, Desi, as we will henceforth refer to her.
Yeah, we can't call her Desi. That's good buddy Trey's name. Or we can't call her Desperado. That's good buddy Trey's name for her.
I thought that was her display name, but maybe I'm just getting confused. My point is that even though we are not joined by a guest on today's episode, we do have rather extensive notes from each of these episodes. And so we asked her, A, to just kind of take notes about general impressions as she watched through each of these episodes with us. B, I asked her to rank each of these episodes in accordance to each other. And at the end of the episode, we'll kind of go over that. Which one was our number 1, which one was our number 2, etc., etc. And 3, how gay were these seasons? Because as we have discussed many times before, the secret sauce, for me at least, and I believe that you agree, Kat, that our secret sauce for these episodes is how good is the friendship between these characters. Some seasons feel like they just happen to be friends. Some seasons feel like they are really good friends and that their personalities perfectly match. And those are just better stories, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It's funny, though, because I made a joke in the Discord about, like, haha, wouldn't it be funny if we ranked how gay these seasons are? But you took it and you ran with it. Like, we're going to discuss that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it does, honestly, we'll get into this, but my rankings kind of reflect the friendships that you see in the first episodes. The episodes where you don't really get to meet the other cures, those generally rank a little lower than the ones where you get, like, two best friends that become PreCure at the same time, or one of them becomes PreCure and you're pretty sure you saw the other one in the opening kind of thing. I'd also love to talk about the openings and closings, but I didn't re-listen to them. So maybe we'll pause recording, listen to those, and talk about that in its own segment. But for now, we don't have any notes on those. Okay. So, the first season that we watched was Splash Star PreCure. Oh, and I will be giving succinct summaries, but they'll be incredibly short succinct summaries because A, I don't know what's important for later seasons, and B, the first episode of PreCure can be pretty formulaic. Splash Star is the third season and is clearly just meant to be the first two seasons were a success, so just copy that. You have two main girls. One of them is Maki. I combined their names. One of the girls is Saki. She's very good at sports. She doesn't seem to be as studious, but I don't think that she actually directly mentioned it. The other one is Mai, who is a blue-haired girl who's a little bit quieter. And it turns out these two girls met each other 5 years ago, and they've been reunited now that Mai has moved back into town. They become PreCure, and they save the spirits, the fairies, basically, from the bad guy. And that's that. They have become the new PreCure. Kat, what did you think of this episode?
It was pretty good. You know, it wasn't the strongest OP, but it wasn't the weakest either. I really liked how the fairies seem like actual people.
Yes.
In this one, more so than in the first season, I think. And, like, they wanted to protect the PreCure, and the PreCure were so, what's the word I'm looking for? Touched by their concern that they decided to protect them, and so it was good.
Yeah, and the fairies actually, attacked the bad guy. You know, we're only 12 episodes into Futariwa, the first season, and the cell phone fairies basically don't really do anything. The most heroic thing we've seen one of them do is run. Run away from the bad guy and jump into the arms of the character so that they could transform into PreCure. I took pretty extensive notes. Here's the thing. If I watch two things back to back, if I watch an episode of Naruto and an episode of One Piece because they were written by the same director or something, by the time I finish the second thing, I have forgotten some of the details of the first thing. So I knew Splash Star was going to be a blur, so I wrote pretty extensive notes for this. And as I said, we also got some pretty extensive notes from Desi. So let me just kind of look here. I wrote, this season is about spirits, nature, and stuff, because I just needed, a really quick, which one was this? I put that this season is clearly just a clone of season 1. You've got an orange-haired girl who is into sports, which is not a traditionally feminine thing. She plays baseball, not lacrosse, but she's clearly a copy of Nagisa. The blue-haired girl looks almost like a clone of Honoka Cure White, and honestly, in the crossover movies that we've watched, I get them mixed up. I do not remember which one is Cure Bloom and which one is Cure Black.
The first time I saw them, I thought that their costumes were like an upgrade that Nagisa and Honoka got.
So there's that. The bad guy has these shadow things that are a lot like Zakenas. They're not called Zakenas, but they're very similar. The orange girl, in this case Saki, she has a boy fairy, and the blue-haired girl has a girl fairy. So there's just a lot of parallels. It's pretty obvious. The animation style is the same, as we'll talk about in a second. The style changes when you get to season 4. But what I put as my second note was having the two Cures having met previously was a good addition. This season feels a little bit more interesting for the relationship because it's almost like the destined reunion trope.
Yeah, the way the fairies were like, they met each other, finally!
Yeah, exactly. So I really think that the relationship between them will be very strong. And then I also wrote, ending slaps. Don't remember what the ending sounds like. I listened to it a whole 24 hours ago at this point. But I liked it enough to write that down as another additional note. So, on a scale of like 1 to 10... how excited would you be if I said, after recording, we're going to go watch episodes 2 through 8 of this show today?
Probably like a 5, maybe
Okay.
a 4. I didn't hate it. I didn't like super love it. The first episode was more interesting to me than the first episode of Futari Wa. So I think
Sure.
it has that going for it. But it didn't quite hook me in the same way as some of these other seasons we're going to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. I like that they apparently, they can both create these like shield effects. It feels like they are getting more unique powers than just kind of the punchy abilities that Nagisa has in the first season. Technically, I think Honoka had an episode where she had like some kind of telekinesis, but I have never seen her reuse that since like episode 3. So yeah, they're experimenting with their powers and I like it a lot. You also get, one of them is Cure Bloom. She represents the spirit of flowers. And the other one is Cure Egret?
Egret. I was going to say, we have to talk about Cure Egret. Is that the dumbest name for a cure that we've had?
Don't we have like a Cure a toilet or something like that? Isn't that what?
We have Cure Etoile.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't.
But Egret! Like, of all of the birds you could have picked, Cure Swan, Cure Dove...
Hang on. Okay, let me see. Significance of egret.
In Japan.
What do egrets symbolize? Just like the blue heron, the egret symbolism too focuses on being at peace with oneself and the world, being in a state of balance and calmness throughout. Okay, so it's like level-headedness. Could you imagine Cure Owl? She just has giant glasses.
Cure Pelican.
Cure Flamingo. Oh. We cracked the code. Egret is not the best cure name that I've ever heard. I agree that every time I hear it, I go, what's an egret again? Then I remember that it's a type of bird.
Nothing. What's an egret with you?
But I do like... Cure Black and Cure White are just colors, and, like, it works fine to show, like, kind of yin and yang and stuff, but they don't represent really anything specific. I couldn't tell you what differentiates Cure Black from Cure White, but in this one, you have one who is aided by the spirit of flowers, and one who is aided by the spirit of birds, which... Now, I do have some future knowledge. I know that there isn't a secret cure in this season, but it would make me wonder if the third cure was going to be Cure of the Sea.
Like a Cure Mermaid?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Oh man, it's a bummer that we watched Go Princess separately, so we can't talk about it here because Go Princess is such a good season.
Yes. I didn't write down the dude's name, but the bad guy from this season was kind of like a plant-looking dude.
His name was Karehan.
Karehan? Okay, I knew it was... Anyways, he showed up in one of the All-Star movies that we watch, and I like his design, but we don't really know much about him. And he also does this, oh, you think that you're strong enough to fight me, the great Karahan? No, you'll fight this tree. And he created the tree to come alive. It was like Ukaina, I think it was its name or something like that.
And we have to comment on it because our good friend Desi commented on it in her notes. The tree he summoned had nipples, and that was weird.
It was a little strange. Maybe it was just a pattern on the bark that just happened to look like nipples once he was brought to life. But yeah, I didn't really have any feelings about the tree monster, but I like the way that the general looks.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, Desi rated this episode as slightly gay with a couple of question marks. I think that that's probably her predicting that it will get gayer, that their relationship will develop over time, but I agree that this episode is planting the seeds, which might bloom into a romance.
On the wings of love?
Let's see, I like how they had the flashback, also enjoyed how the tree had nipples, and they had no idea what was going on. as we'll discuss, different characters in different seasons seem to have different levels of acceptance of things. And in the early seasons, they were very much, what's going on? Oh my god, I can jump! Oh my gosh! Ah!
That's my favorite thing about Tropical Rouge is that Manatsu doesn't question it at all. She never has that, what did I just say moment. She's just like, yes, I was born to kick ass.
Absolutely. Desi thought the baddie looked like a mix of Frieza and Vegeta. I personally think that he looks a little bit like a Namekian, which is a different thing, but yeah, no, he does kind of give a little Dragon Ball Z vibes. And it was hard for Desi to get a good idea of how much she'd like this season, as she doesn't feel the characters had much development. And that's absolutely true. It's more like there's two characters, they're kind of living their lives, and they happen to run into each other twice?
Well, and kind of like how Nagisa is absolutely the main character of Futariwa, I would say you can tell that Cure Bloom is the main character of this season because most of what we saw was centered on her.
Yeah, pretty much the only my focus scene was when she was first coming into town and she was like, I'm gonna go visit a tree that I saw 5 years ago that changed my life.
I saw a girl in front of a tree and I've never forgotten it.
Also, quick shout out, Saki has a little sister. I like siblings in these shows because they can usually add some kind of interesting commentary as the episodes go on. And Mai has a hot older brother. You and I both went, oh my, he's quite the looker. But I think that about does it for Splash Star.
Absolutely. And now we can move on to Fresh, which is one of the ones I'm most excited. Nope. I scrolled too far down. So the actual season we're on, which I'm slightly less excited about, is Yes PreCure 5.
And can I just... Yes PreCure 5 annoys the crap out of me, just on a fundamental level. It's the 4th season, and it's called Yes PreCure 5. Technically, it does have a sequel, which celebrates the 5th anniversary, and it's called Yes PreCure 5 Go Go. Go in Japan means 5, but...
Oh, and there's 2 goes, so 2 5s, because it's the second.
Why not just do season 4 as, like, another pair or whatever?
Or do a sequel season to Splash Star.
Correct. Why not save Yes PreCure 5 for the 5th season?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So what I wrote down here is girl can't decide what to club. Because the main character of this season, she's been trying a lot of different clubs, and she can't figure out what is most important to her.
She doesn't have her own dream.
Right.
And she's kind of bad at everything.
Right. So she has a best friend, who's also in the opening, by the way. I wonder if she'll become a cure. But she has a friend who keeps being like, when are you going to figure out what you want to do in life? But before we get to that plot point, she meets a cute guy. There's a butterfly, and she's like, ooh, pretty butterfly.
This is the most heterosexual season of PreCure I've ever seen.
But she sees this butterfly, she runs into this hot guy who's like, hello, I'm a hot guy. And then she later sees him at the school and goes to, like, figure out what's, like, why he's there. And also, she felt bad because he just kind of disappeared that morning after their meeting. And she makes a comment about how could you embrace a maiden like me and then abandon me? But it turns out this hot guy is not just any hot guy. He's also the world's most adorable fairy.
Until he talks.
Yeah, you don't... Coco's kind of weird.
You have to eat the fries, Coco!
Coco! I'm Coco!
But yeah, his voice is very high-pitched and annoying.
Yeah. So she gets drawn to the library because she sees this kind of mysterious figure walking around, and it turns out that he has a dream that can only be fulfilled with a Dream Colette, I think it was called. The bad guys want it because they don't like dreams, and she ends up being like, dreams are super important, and she transforms into the legendary PreCure, fights a very Studio Ghibli-style monster, like this weird, like, black goo thing that comes out of the painting.
Kawaii! Kawaii means scary.
Wow. Wow, every episode that we've done, I've been the one to kind of point out the different language things that I saw, but you figured it out. Good job, baby. The season's called Yes PreCure 5 because it's the first season to have 5 cures, and you meet each one of them in this first episode. I would say spoilers, but again, these are all in the intro. So her best friend is probably going to be the second cure to join. She briefly runs into
an actress.
Well, what am I? An underclassman. I'm pretty sure that the main character is a year older than Aurora, but the actress is probably going to be the next cure. And then there is a green and blue-haired girl. There's two girls. There's a green-haired girl and a blue-haired girl, and they're also probably going to join the team. One of them is like the student council president, and then the other one is like super smart, which, sets the tone for most blue-haired cures going forward.
Now, I don't know the names of most of the cures from this season, but the pink is Cure Dream.
Yeah.
The yellow is Cure Lemonade.
Uh-huh.
So there's no cohesive team theming here.
No, I believe her friend is Cure Rouge, is the red one, and I believe green is Cure Minty or Cure Mint. But yeah, I don't get a sense of theme from their different whatever. The fairies that they're looking, not the fairy, that's Coco, but the 12 artifacts they have to collect that will grant them their wishes are called Pinkies, which I think might be related to Pinky Promises, or it might just be the fact that they're pink butterflies. But every time I hear that, my brain goes, is this like a dirty thing? What is
You've got
this?
the pinky catch.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that kind of stuff. Catherine, what did you think of this episode?
It was pretty good. I like the monsters a lot. I really like the unique background animation style.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not super into the characters. All of her friends, not friends, her one friend and then the other people she runs into, they're all kind of mean.
Yeah, the blue and girl ones especially. She goes into this library, and there's these upperclassmen, and the blue-haired girl has apparently memorized the name and face of every single student at the school, that's kind of impressive, but also kind of like, what's wrong with you? Don't you have a life? And the main girl goes, oh wait, hang on, I wrote down people's names. Nozomi says, did you see the guy come in here? And she's basically like, I frickin' told you there's no one in here but us. And she's like, oh, geez, calm down, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And the blue-haired girl is named Karen, which all three of us laughed at because,
she absolutely is a Karen.
She is a Karen, but it's also such an American name. I would never think of a Japanese person named Karen.
It's interesting, though, because this is actually not the first time I've seen Karen as a name in anime. That's the name of the girl from Gios, too.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So
okay.
I think maybe that's one of those Americanized names that might be common in Japan.
Okay, sure.
Because there are a couple, I think, that are like that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I don't really know much about it, so I can't comment, but that sounds right. Just like last season, in the margins, I wrote spirits, nature, and stuff. For this one, I wrote dreams, because, oh my god, they say the word dreams 50 times. The first note that I took was that it has an updated art style, and I like it a little bit better. You can kind of feel what generation anime comes from based off of its look, and I think that it's actual animation technology that they're using or techniques, but I like the way that 5 looks.
Absolutely, yeah. It has that hand-drawn kind of style that's very distinctive.
Yes. I also liked that this is the first time we've ever had a pink-haired girl, which, as you move forward in the series, becomes a staple of most seasons, but the first 3 seasons had red-haired girls, so that's cool. Meet cute with the handsome ferryman. Like you said, this is easily the most hetero season ever.
Desi also commented on that. She was like, finally, some man candy.
Yeah, she also put not gay at all when she was ranking how gay it was. I said counting motif in the OP is good. That's one simple way to get me to like your song. Usually, I guess there's some exceptions, but if it has a 21, 22, 23.
Something about counting is just so hype. I turned to Joel during the opening and I went, numbers! And he showed me his notes and was like, I already wrote it down.
I really did.
There's a PreCure opening medley on YouTube that's 25 minutes long, and I listen to it when I run sometimes, and so I have bits and pieces of every opening memorized, but not the whole thing, and so I'll start singing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it goes into the fresh opening. Or
Yeah. That's so good. Now, Desi says that this season wasn't gay at all, and you said that this is the most hetero, and I will agree for the main character. But Green and Blue have been girlfriends since before they were delivered on the same day in the same hospital, and they held hands before they were taken home to their respective homes.
Big childhood friends where maybe one of them has some pining energy.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Blue, I could see being like, I have to marry the son of a corporation for my family's name. But Green definitely is like, Karen is so cool and smart and pretty and amazing.
I write her name in my notebook sometimes. I put a little heart around in there. I put my name in the heart, too. I just got Annie Donna's We're Different But We're the Same. I crawl into your hole and I wear you as a meat suit and I walk around as Karen.
That's awful. Don't talk about that anymore.
I'm sorry. Desi really liked how the mascot can be both a human and a fairy, which is kind of nice. And like you said, he's very handsome. I think this is the cutest fairy design in all of PreCure. It's possible that, or not possible, Fua is a huge contender for one of my favorites, but that could also be because I had 50 episodes to get attached to Fua. Kururun is an immediate like, oh, I love its design. I really liked Pafu, but Coco is easily up there.
I like the ones that look like Pokemon, I've discovered. Like, Coco is great, Pafu is great. I don't like Meppel and Mipple. I don't know what they're supposed to be. They're not cute to me. But a little fox? A friend!
Yeah, it's like he's like a fox, but he has like a squirrel tail, and when he gets excited, because he tries to act serious, but when she becomes the PreCure, he starts bouncing around on it like a Meryl would, and like, it's so good. The bad guy. The general, not the Kawaii, but the bad guy is this dude wearing a bowler hat, and he has like, it's gonna sound weird, squinty eyes, but not like Brock eyes.
He has like big glasses that are like bubbles, and then his eyes are like in the very center.
Okay, they're like, they're small, like a slit in the middle of it, and it gives him a very bug-like appearance, and I was like, okay, this is a mosquito man pretending to be a human. And then when he confronts them at the library and he transforms, he's not a mosquito man. He's like a scyther. He's a praying mantis character, yeah. But I like his design. I like the way he talks. He might be the first general that I've really loved chronologically.
Big Kamen Rider vibes
from
the villains in this season, which I like a lot.
Yeah. He says, I'm not as evil as you might think. He works for a group called the Nightmare Company, and he's trying to pull this, I'm just misunderstood. You don't understand my true motivations. I just want to give nightmares to everyone around the world. Is that so wrong? And Desi thought that he reminded her of Joker, specifically the animated version. Now, Joker is a character, Batman's Joker, is a character that has had like 50,000 incarnations, so I'm not sure which version that she'd seen, but the hat kind of reminds me of the Penguin, personally, in his human form. But once he transforms, he doesn't really look like anything other than a scyther.
Word.
Last note that I have down here is the closing is pure ska goodness. So,
yes. I am so pleased to have had a ska closing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I did also forget to mention, the general guy who has a name, I don't think I wrote it down, looks like Desi did, and it's Ginma? Oh, Girinma. But he takes out this, like, mask, and he puts it on the painting to create the Kawaii. Did you know that kawaii means scared? But I like masks. I always have. And so that's a really cool way to activate your monster of the week that you're summoning. And
I like the idea of putting the masks on a person and bringing out, like, their nightmare form.
You should watch this show that you probably haven't heard of. It's called Star Twinkle PreCure. There's some stuff in there like that.
Is there some stuff?
Yeah, there's some stuff.
Star Twinkle's got some bits and pieces.
With the masks.
I will watch Star Twinkle when you watch more Kira Kira.
Absolutely. I will say one more thing. I like the KotWN's better than the Zakenas, and I swear to God they're Ukainas in the third season. But I like that the KotWN's name actually comes from a Japanese word and it means scary because it means that the bad guys actually have a motif. The Futari Wa bad guys, they summoned, there's an evil bear in an episode, there's an evil vacuum cleaner in another episode, there's a shark guy at one point. Like, there's no cohesion here. It's just like, whatever you find lying around, turn into a monster.
Absolutely.
Now we get to move on to Fresh PreCure.
Yes.
For real this time.
For real. I did not scroll too far down.
I wrote in the parentheses, or the margins of this one, love and music and happiness. I don't know exactly what this show's going to focus on because there's a fortune teller aspect, so it's kind of like, okay, what's your future going to be? It opens with the main character, Momozona Love, saying like, oh my god, there was a breakup and she's crying. Or not a breakup, a rejection and she's crying. So I thought maybe romance was going to be the theme.
The bad guys are trying to fill the sadness gauge because it will summon infinity.
Yes. Yes. I was about to say, isn't it going to summon Mobius? But Mobius is the bad guy, and Infinity is the power that they want. So I'm not sure where this show is going in terms of theme, but my god, do Kat and I love Fresh PreCure.
Yeah, something I discovered in the last couple recent years is that idol shows, good, actually. Like, I wish I had been born an idol.
Okay,
that's like the dream for me. And so this show kind of vaguely being idol themed. We didn't really get there in the first episode, but
they become a dance group eventually, right? Once they actually figure out what they do. I have noticed that is a pattern that the PreCure shows will go through, is that first couple of episodes is just like they don't really know what's going on, getting the team together, and then once the team is together, they come up with a goal. Let's open the patissier in Kira Kira. Let's fix the spaceship in Star Twinkle. Let's become an idol group in Fresh.
I like that Momozona Love, her thing seems to be meddling.
Yes.
Because she sees a problem and she can't help but interfere to fix it.
Mm-hmm,
and like, in real life, that would get real annoying, but in a show, it's like, oh, look at her go. She's the best.
Yes. So, the succinct summary, the two sentence, like I said, it opens with Momozona Love crying about a rejection, but it's not her rejection. She tried to set up two people and it didn't work out as intended. But by the end of the episode, you find out they are together, so her meddling was good, actually. She has two best friends who really want to make sure that she's happy, and they support her and they love her, like, unconditionally, clearly.
They both clearly think that she's a little brain dead, but they still love her.
She absolutely is brain dead. She ends up wandering looking for some donuts, but she gets so hungry and fixated on how delicious they're going to taste that she drools a little, and she goes, oops, a little bit of drool, and she has to, like, wipe her chin off. She ends up in a weird mansion. There are two very hot men in the mansion who don't interact with her, but are clearly going to be generals in later episodes. There's a really hot woman who gives Momozona Love a fortune, and yes, I'm going to say her full name every time because it's such a perfect name. But there's a fortune teller who's basically like, ooh, happiness in your future. And Love's like, yes, I love love. I love having good fortune. But actually, the good fortune comes at a cost. Ooh. Momozona Love gets to go see her favorite idol group in town. Her mom scored tickets. That's the good fortune that had been foreshadowed. But while she's there, the bad guys attack. And Momozona Love has to defend her favorite idol from this monster, and she gets the power of PreCure. Also, while Momozona Love is having her own adventure, there's this weasel that's looking after a baby, and the baby is this season's, like, fairy or power-up thing, I'm not sure.
Yeah, can we talk about how the opening to this episode was really just the opening to the Sonic movie? There's an owl with a baby who has to send the baby away to protect it. Although really, I don't think he sent Chiffon away on purpose. I think it's because the Picroons, the little key fairies, flew off. And he was like,
you remember their name.
I just read the wiki to make sure I knew. He was like, Weasel, go figure out where the PreCure are and also take Chiffon with you.
Did we get a name for Weasel?
No.
Okay,
Not
that's
in this
so
episode.
weird. But
His name is similar to chiffon. It's some sort of dessert. I just don't remember what it is.
what are we watching? Fresh PreCure?
Yeah.
Fresh PreCure. His name is Tart, which, they have a lot of different characters that are named after different types of sweets. Apparently, this is a spoiler and I'm sorry, but apparently there's a character named Waffle later in the season. So, okay, that's great. We have a friend who has a dog named Waffles, so I hope that the Waffle of Fresh PreCure can be as good as the Waffles IRL.
Waffles the dog. Absolutely.
They also... This is the first season that has introduced the dark PreCure trope. I don't believe... I mean, maybe later in the seasons that we've started but haven't finished, there will be something like that. But this episode, just episode 1, the hot fortune teller lady just gives big, I'm a PreCure, but for evil reasons kind of a vibe. So...
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to add about this episode?
That's about it. I'm really attached to Momozono Love. I saw her in a movie and I was like, that's my PreCure.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag is my PreCure. I don't know if there is a character who's a hashtag not my PreCure. Maybe Cure Fortune.
I was about to say I really, I feel bad swearing on a PreCure episode, but, I can't think of a kid-friendly way of saying that bitch. So...
She's stinky.
God, she's the worst.
Her design is so cool, though. She's so pretty.
Yeah. But we're not on that episode yet. We are here to discuss Fresh PreCure. Everything that I have in my notes is something that we've already discussed. Love is super into love. Go figure is something that I wrote. Love loves donuts, which is interesting because I've seen donuts be as a motif. That's almost every PreCure season has at least one character who's like, oh my god, I love sweets. But donuts as a specific food item has been one of the most common ones.
Donuts and melon pan are the two that pop up a lot, an unusual amount of times.
Well, see, melon pan, as far as I know, is a Japanese dessert, so that makes sense. But donuts, I don't think of as being a Japan exclusive thing. So that's why every time they have a character who's like, donuts, I'm like, same girl, but I just didn't know that you had the same culture over there that we do here. This is also the first ending to introduce the Cure's dancing kind of idol style, which makes sense since this is the season that is kind of idol themed, but... That's a trend that has continued to this day in every single season. They have the 3D models and all that other good stuff.
I believe this is the season that actually saved the series.
Okay, very interesting.
It was in danger of being canceled, and then Fresh came out, and Fresh was so popular that they kept making PreCure.
Do you think that's because of the pop idol type of illusions and such?
It might be. It might be because of the kind of innovations they made with the closing and the attacks and all of that. I guess a lot of that kind of was introduced in Yes PreCure 5 even.
Yeah, see, so that's what I'm trying to say. We'll have to do a deeper dive. Maybe we'll do an episode just on this entire season. This is another season that Desi has marked as slightly gay with some question marks. I don't really get any kind of romantic or deep friendships between Momozono Love and her two friends. They're very clearly good friends, but it doesn't feel like anything more than that. And again, like I said, it feels like Momozono Love's main thing is love specifically because the episode opens with the rejection, and then when she asks to go get donuts, the blue-haired girl whose name I have written down, she's Miki, and the yellow one is Baki. Those just sound like they were twins. Miki Baki. But Miki is like, oh, I have a date, and whatever, and everyone's like, what? You have a boyfriend? And so... that's why I thought that dating and explicit romance was going to be one of the themes of this season.
Absolutely. Can I share a quote from the head writer?
Yeah.
So he said, Fresh was a new experimental work, and it was my first time participating in the series, so it was a case of trial and error over and over again. If Fresh had failed, the series would have ended there. If it was a success, it would have continued forever. That was the high hurdle.
Wow.
So Fresh succeeding absolutely is why we still have PreCure today.
I didn't disbelieve that. I'm just very curious as to what things changed about it that saved the series. Why was it such a success that we did get 14 more seasons or 13 more seasons?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, maybe we can do a Fresh deep dive.
Mm-hmm. Desi liked love Momozona Love, and Momozona Love is one of those characters we've seen in like crossover movies that we've been like, man, we should watch her season one of these days. I also just love her design. She has a very specific facial expression that maybe I'll put up on the Patreon with this episode that I just went, yeah, I like that art style. Desi didn't really like how strongly she reacted to the rejection thing, but like a lot of children's media do that, where they kind of over-exaggerate how one feels in order to best drive home how important it is to that character.
Well, and I think I kind of did like that, just because the way her friends reacted was, oh, love, you're crying again. What is it this time? And so I thought that was a really good, like, you immediately know this character is about big feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and PreCure and Magical Girl shows in general are shows where your feelings end up being your greatest weapon. So I respect Desi's but her emotional reaction to like, oh, that's a little weird. But also, I think it works for an animated character. This is an example of something that I don't think would work well in live action, because if I saw, the character playing Iris West just bawling her eyes out in the first episode of The Flash, I'd be like, what's wrong? But in an anime, it's just kind of like, yeah, they're using the medium to express their message, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Desi and I both liked, and maybe you did too, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the fact that Momozona Love actually attacked the monster before getting PreCure powers. A lot of the other cures from these other episodes that we have or will talk about, they will like protect the fairy doing the T-pose with the arms out, like, no, I won't let you get them. But Momozona Love is the first one that's just like, I want to beat the shit out of this monster that's like 10 feet tall. I'm going to use this mic stand.
Love is ready to throw down. She almost strangled that guy who rejected her friend.
I think he got a concussion from how hard she was rattling his brain, and he was whipping around. I didn't ask this for Yes PreCure 5, but scale of 1 to 10. If after we stopped recording, we went and we just binged like 10 episodes, or I told you that was my plan, how excited would you be?
10. That's all I want to do. I would skip my run for that.
Oh my gosh. I like at the beginning of her transformation how she says, beat up. And it's music beat, but also, I just remember that quote from the first season, girls just want to rampage. So like, beat up.
Imagine Momozona Love. Gun! These are Kamen Rider Drive references. You should watch Drive.
Kamen Rider Drive is an excellent series. And I mean, if you don't love Heart, maybe you're just asexual. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think that everyone who has a sex drive will be attracted to that character. One last thing, I'm sorry that I keep remembering other things I want to bring up. I normally don't like yellow cures as much as I like the other colored cures, but the opening has the girl who will one day become Cure Pine. She Maki or she's Baki. Baki is just trapped under a pile of dogs. And
she's the best. Oh my god.
Yeah, so I really like her. I don't know if maybe she'll give a strong first impression, then kind of fade in the background, as happens with other characters. But no, I'm excited to see her episode when she becomes whatever. She also, they each, when they transform, get like a little like, is it emblem? Like, I'm the emblem of love or something like that?
I think so.
Their catchphrases represent like different emotions, and love is love, clearly. Cure Peach, is that her name?
Cure Peach.
Cure Peach is love, and I believe the blue girl is courage. I could be wrong. But yellow is faith. So I have seen a couple, like 3 or 4 memes referencing her as like the religious convert of the PreCure world. Like, she's the one who's beating up the bad guys. Like, do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?
Don't swear in her Christian Minecraft, sir.
Yes, exactly. And like, already I'm just so excited to meet her. And I think that about wraps up this episode.
Absolutely. We're only 40 minutes into the episode.
So I think we are going to have to pick up the pace. Either that or we'll split this episode into 2 halves and do another recording later, because wow, I love PreCure. We watched Glitter Force years and years ago. We weren't living at our current place. We weren't living at the last place. We were living in the place before that when we watched Glitter Force. And I was kind of like, if we drank, we could make a drinking game out of this. Take a drink every time they save the day with friendship, every time someone's stupid. And we watched it ironically. And then years later, a flip switched in my brain, and we watched the original version rather than kind of like the weird metamorphosized version.
A flip switched in your brain.
I am the flip switchingest boy.
Are you tired? You tired, boy?
Always. Next, we get to go on to Sweet PreCure.
And this is one of the seasons that when I was looking through the list, I was like, Joel's gonna want to watch this one.
I don't want to overhype Sweet PreCure, but Sweet PreCure's first episode might be the best episode of any anime I've ever watched in my life.
And it's the gayest.
Oh my god. Okay, succinct summary. So there's like this weird fantasy world where the instruments are also people, so like the tubas are playing themselves with their own hands. It's so weird. But they're putting on this concert. There's this very attractive woman, and she goes, hey, this is like the concert that'll bring another 1,000 years of happiness, and here's the most adorable cat you've ever seen, Hummy. Get it? She hums, and she's going to complete the song. It's gonna create happiness. And then this Wario-looking evil king, Olaf, shows up, and he goes, no, we will sing a song of sorrow. And the queen just kind of laughs to herself. What? You can't control the song. Only Hummy can sing the song.
Only a song fairy.
Sorry, yeah, only a song fairy can sing a song that will bring about the emotions. And Hummy's not going to sing for you. Olaf just smiles. You mean the Chaos Emeralds? This is my evil song fairy, Siren. It's a black cat who looks like a badass, looks like she's like an assassin who throws knives and kills people in the middle of the night. And she says something mean to Hummy, like, oh, you're just as empty-headed as always. And Hummy goes, oh, you're so sweet. And the Siren lady goes, ah, she hisses, and she's like, that was supposed to be that wasn't a compliment, you idiot. So already this season is super gay, and these aren't even the main characters. Before the Song of Sorrow can be sung, the queen lady, she's like Athena or something. She's named after some famous goddess. I think she's Aphrodite.
And he's Mephisto.
Yes, exactly. So they both have like real names from real world mythology. But before the song can be finished, she scatters the notes of the song to the four corners of the earth, and now they're on a collectathon. Siren is trying to find these notes and turn them evil. Hummy's trying to find them and turn them good. Hummy has the power of 8 ring pops that follow her around that each represent a different note. So you meet Dororo this episode, or Dodo and Roro this episode. Ray Ray?
Ray Ray.
Ray Ray, sorry. I'm not very musically inclined. The actual characters, the actual Kiers, are 2 girls, one of whom introduces herself as, I'm really good at sports, but I hate studying. And then the other girl goes, I'm really studious, but sports really aren't my thing. These 2 used to be friends, so that's pretty interesting. But even more interesting, they don't get along anymore, and they actually stick their tongues out each other and are rude. And Kaede, the studious but not sports one, she's really good at baking, but she doesn't have any sweets to offer Hibiki, the sports but not smart one. And Hibiki just takes the cake anyway and eats it. It's like, try to stop me, cop. And it's perfect. It's so good.
Them sticking their tongues out of each other.
Yeah, exactly. They end up in the same place being attacked by Siren. It turns out that, like,
it was their special place when they were young. So they had this confrontation and they both went there to calm down.
Right.
Saw the other one there and was like, fuck you, fuck you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hummy shows up, and she shows up when it's just Hibiki, and Hibiki goes, wow, what a suspicious cat. And Hummy goes, I'm Hummy, the talking cat. I'm not suspicious at all. And Hibiki goes, that makes you more suspicious. Some bad guys show up, there's a ruckus, Kaede shows up a little bit later, and she sees Hummy and she goes, did that cat just talk? And Hummy goes, I'm Hummy, the cat. I'm not suspicious. And Kaede goes, that's really suspicious.
I love that the cats and the 2 cures have the same relationship.
Yes.
Like, were Siren and Hummy friends when they were kittens?
Yeah. Well,
why is Hummy's head giant, but Siren has the proportions of a normal cat?
I get the impression, I could be wrong, but Hummy is a kitten and has not grown into her body, whereas Siren is an adult cat. An adult cat who and has already gotten the proper proportions of an adult for a cat. Do you think they're gonna get... No, we did see a human form for Siren, didn't we? She showed up and she's like, I'm Hannah. She had some name that I was like, that's a weird name for a cat to have.
Mm-hmm.
But the bad guys are going to take the resonance in their hearts. I don't remember the terms the show used, but when the bad guys try to take out their hearts and steal the good magic, their magic is so strong it repels the bad guys, and then they're able to transform, but only if they harmonize together. This show is amazing. I love it. I've had Hibiki for 5 minutes and I would die if anything happened to her. But the episode unfortunately ends before they're able to actually fight because they spend a lot of time building up both the fantasy world and the real world relationships. But, oh my god, I love Sweet PreCure. Do you have any notes?
You know what? No, I think I'm going to call it and say let's do Smile.
I did write the opening is, and then I didn't actually finish that thought.
How often does that happen to you?
It happens quite a bit. I guess that must mean that the opening left an impression. I don't know if it was like, if it slapped, if it was a banger, if it was kind of mellow, but it left an impression.
That's the one that's like, sweet, sweet, pretty cute.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Like I said, I have bits and pieces of every single one of these openings memorized.
I just want to point out once again that I'm Hummy, I'm not suspicious. That line killed all three of us. Desi really liked it. Also, on the gayometer, she just put in all caps, like, gay! And I agree. This show is going places.
And now, we have finally entered the Glitter Force zone.
Oh my goodness.
Because that's the next 2 seasons were both dubbed by Glitter Force.
These were the 2 that they decided that... Was it Bandai tried to bring over?
No, Saban.
Okay, Saban tried to bring over.
Glitter Force, the what's the word? Trademark is now owned by Hasbro.
Interesting.
So we could get more Glitter Force from Hasbro if they cared about this series. Hasbro, please hire me to work on the dub.
It's a shame that My Little Pony has already ended, Friendship is Magic specifically, because I could see a crossover between those 2 properties working very well. I'm not shitposting. I think that would be amazing.
Absolutely.
So we come up to Smile PreCure, and there's a girl who thinks she's an anime protagonist. She goes, it's my first day of school, maybe I'll have a fateful encounter around this corner? And there's nothing, and she goes, oh, I guess I'm not gonna have a fateful encounter. And then from the sky comes... Is it the book or is it the fairy or is it both?
It's the book, and the fairy falls out of the book when it hits the ground.
Right. So this book comes out of nowhere, smacks her in the face, out comes this talking fairy person who's like, hello, my name is whatever my name is.
I'm not suspicious. She doesn't say that. Candy is her name, by
That's
the way.
right. And her older brother, Pop, who shows up later. But anyways, this main girl takes all of this in stride. She's just like, oh, okay, a talking fairy. I just must be a Disney character. And then she goes to school and she tries to introduce herself, but she gets really nervous. And there's one character who's like, hey, this girl, she's an astrologer and her brother was experimented on by aliens. She makes up like this weird story that kind of gets the entire family to laugh, or the entire classroom to laugh. There's a smart girl who's kind of like, oh yeah, the red girl's kind of like that. There's a yellow girl who's kind of quiet and is all like, hey, she's just trying to lighten the mood. And she's able to give a second kind of like introduction in it, and she handles it a little bit better. Would you believe that the 4 other brightly colored characters in this classroom full of other people with like brown and black hair might also be PreCure later in the series?
What? Cure Peace Best Girl.
Cure Peace has the best joke in all of PreCure that I've seen so far.
Plus, I really like that she wants to be a mangaka.
Yeah, that's really good. Or, in the Saban version, she wants to draw superheroes.
Did you like this episode?
No, not really.
I didn't really like it much either. I did like that
what?
there was a wolf boy in just the first episode.
This season is all about fairy tales. That's the motif. And the first general who shows up is the big bad wolf archetype, so he looks like a werewolf. And he's, if you're into that, you like him, you know? I like him. Not that I'm a furry or anything.
Desi liked him.
Yes. He's an interesting character. I like the painting the future black motif where they have like the black ink and they smear it on the book. The motifs are good. I like how silly and dumb the stupid, the buffoons or whatever they're called in this version are with the giant clown noses.
The Akambe, I think.
Yes. Good catch. Also, they have like a weird magic system that's actually super consistent. If you go up to a bookshelf and you move books in a specific order, it'll open the door to this like in-between world with a bunch of fairy tale books. But if you do the thing again on a different bookshelf, you can then exit somewhere else. You can teleport around. It's fast travel in the real world.
Yeah, Desi commented and said, she's going to Narnia, but with a bookcase instead of a wardrobe. This season, even just watching the Glitter Force dub, has one of the strongest villain trios, I think. And it almost is a bummer that they're wasted on this season.
I only remember Wolf Boy and the Hot Clown, who I don't think was one of the main trios, right? Who were the other ones?
There was a witch, and there was an ogre, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right.
But also, shout out to this season for starting the iconic Hot Clown conspiracy.
Yes. Miyuki is into her transformation after she transformed. She's like, oh my god, is this me? Was she the, oh my god, I'm so hot? That was Mana, right? Yeah, okay. That was someone else. I did write down another glowing book, which took me a second to remember what the heck I was talking about. But in Yes PreCure 5, there was a glowing book that when she opened it, there was like the secret Dream Colette in it. And this one, it wasn't an item, it was the secret hub world. But yeah, I like that these shows constantly make references to themselves.
This season would make a great video game with fast travel.
Yes, absolutely. Also, as we normally cover One Piece, it's important to comment that Candy's Japanese seiyuu, or voice actor, is Chopper from One Piece.
If you got the opportunity to yeet either Candy or Chopper off of a ship, which one would you choose?
That's really difficult. I think Candy.
Yeah, because Chopper at least has a useful skill.
If you throw Chopper off the ship, Zoro's gonna kill you. So
we assume everyone in the room is on board with the yeeting.
Oh, on board with getting off board. In which case I would throw Chopper off because Candy can give me magic powers.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I did like the scene where she tried to do an attack and it didn't work, and Candy was like, you need to put more energy into it. And she goes, energy, energy, energy!
Yes.
And she like had to charge up her.
It's really interesting that she's the one who has to like cheer herself on when we literally get a cheerleader cure just a few seasons later. But I think that they would get along great. All PreCures get along great because that's how this series works during the All-Stars movies, but I think those two would be especially good friends.
Scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you to keep watching?
Like a 3, and that's only because I know that it gets better. But yeah, this not my favorite.
Nope.
On to Doki Doki, which also got a Glitter Force treatment.
Doki Doki Dream on a Kiramaku. Wrong opening.
So I wrote this one down as The Tower and Selfish Enemies in the Google Docs. On my notes, though, I wrote, once every 1,000 years, a pink cure is born with multiple brain cells. This season tells the story of this legendary girl. She's the class representative, and she's helping people find their lost items. She's able to help cheer up a child who has lost her mother. The mother didn't die, but has got separated from the mother, and helps her stay calm until the mom shows up. And it's so good. She meets a mysterious shop owner. I guess I should do a succinct summary. She meets a mysterious shop owner who gives her a pin. She sees this pin. She's like, wow, that's a really cute pin. Also, it reminds me of this pin of this really cute girl that I saw earlier. It's probably too expensive for me. And the guy's like, no, keep it. I'm not a wizard in disguise. And she goes, great, awesome.
She tries to say, no, my father told me nothing comes for free. And he's like, keep it. Yeah. I'm not suspicious.
you're making it sound like he's clearly an evil guy in disguise. But yeah, he's just kind of like, oh, no. The shopkeeper gets to set the prices. So I think that this is totally fair. Go off and have a wonderful adventure. And eventually, she becomes Cure Heart. And the only reason I can remember that she's Heart specifically is because the shop owner calls her his sweetheart. Like, in English, he says, the rest of it like, oh my, sweetheart. The bad guys have the power to amplify the selfishness inside people's hearts. And
they pull your heart out of your chest.
I love the heart motif for this season. They have the devil heart when the selfishness is taken over, and they have the kind of angelic heart once they've been purified by the PreCure. The first monster that they summon, iconic. It's a selfish shellfish. It's a giant crab whose hands are like giant scissors, because that's what crabs are, and it represents wanting to cut in line and being impatient. And I really like that, and I really like, there's one general, who's voiced by Luffy, by the way. He's a boy with like bat wings coming out of his head. His monster gets defeated. But then a second monster shows up because there's another general who was waiting for the first general to F up and get defeated so she could come in and defeat the weakened PreCure. Are you kidding me? That's amazing.
Also, this is the first season to start off with there already being a PreCure in existence.
Yes, that's right. This isn't the one that starts with like the apocalypse. Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, Cure Sword is fighting a monkey in space,
and she's mourning the fact that like she's already lost. She's
she
like
couldn't
this.
Save anyone.
Yeah, I couldn't save people, and I can't tell if that was a flash forward of things to come or if that was something that happened 2 years ago and now humanity has rebuilt itself or something ridiculous like that. But yeah, Cure Sword is there, and Cure Heart is there, and it's pretty great. Do you have any other notes?
Nope, I really liked it. It was good. I put it pretty high on my ranking, and I would continue watching. I've heard that this season isn't super popular amongst the fandom, but I've heard that about a couple of seasons now that I've liked, so I don't care what they think. Smile is a very popular season in the fandom, and I don't care for Smile, so...
But we also haven't finished it in its original glory, so it's possible that it has like a really good ending or something, but... Yeah, just, if you hear that people don't like something but you think you might like it, give it a try, man. Who cares? Enjoy the things you like, as long as you're not hurting anyone.
Oh, I do have one more note. You could definitely tell this was an anniversary season. I felt like they stepped the animation up a notch.
For sure. This also has 2 friends of the main character. Hey, I wrote down names. I don't know why I can't read them. Mana is the pink girl, Rika is the blue-haired girl, and Makoto is the purple girl. Oh, but I didn't write down... I don't know if we got a name for the rich girl with the umbrella. I really like rich girl with umbrella. She's going to make a great Cure someday when she transforms.
I liked that she had one throwaway line that was like, my dear friend Mana says you must always care about other people.
No, that was such a good... Because... Mana gets in line and she says something about like the longer we have to wait, the more we'll appreciate the thing at the end of the line. Which, I mean, I would argue maybe if the lines are really long at Disneyland, maybe they need to restructure their park somehow. But she has this positive attitude about it. And this rich girl shows up. Her family owns this giant 999 meter tall tower. Just splurge on the last meter, I promise. It's a lot more impressive. But she gets in line, and this butler guy is kind of like, your family owns the tower? You can just go to the top? And she goes... No, the longer you wait in line, the more sweet you'll appreciate it. And you go, that's what the Mana said. And then she goes, that's what my friend Mana said. Like, I kind of wish she hadn't explicitly said that. I kind of wish that they had just teased that these two knew each other. And then when they met in episode 3 and she became a Cure, it was more like,
yeah, know? Absolutely. Are you ready to move on to Happiness Charge?
No. Okay. I have one last note. Their Henshin is an app. It's literally, they have a phone and you draw a heart on the lock screen in order to transform. Like, that's so good.
That is really good.
Really quickly, sorry, Desi, if you're listening to this, that we're not reading every single one of your notes. We're trying to get through these a little bit faster. But the one note from Doki Doki that stands out to me, the crabs won me over. Yeah, anything with crabs, like in an animated thing as like a monster, like I think it wins some points right there, you know?
Listen. My favorite thing to do when we lived by the ocean was to just go and pick up rocks so I could look at tiny crabs. And I did that like once a week. So yes, if there's crabs in a season, it's automatically the best season.
The selfish shellfish ran so Chongi Ray could sprint. Crab with abs. Crab with abs. We're in the end game now, folks. Only 2 more seasons to talk about. Happiness Charge.
This was cool because it took there's already cures from Doki Doki and just like hyped it up to 11. And this season, everyone knows that PreCure are a thing and that the bad guys are a thing. Mm-hmm. And they're all like, PreCure is so cool, they're gonna keep us safe.
Yes. This season also sets the record for least number of brain cells in a single cure with Cure Princess. She is a PreCure who has been running around fighting the bad guys for who knows how long. I assume like a couple of months. They don't really give a time span that I know of. And has not won a single fight. She wants to fight. She wants to be courageous. But she isn't. And then she's told by her brother, father, mentor? I don't know. His name is Blue, and I think they're probably related because of their hair color, but they don't explicitly...
I'm assuming brother for now.
They're doing a lot of setup in this episode, but he's like, why don't you become friends? Why don't you give this gem to a friend, and they'll become PreCure with you, and you two can fight together? And she goes, okay, I'm gonna throw it off the top of this building, and whoever it hits will become my friend. And she finds a pink-haired girl who loves PreCure so much and wanted to become a PreCure. And now these 2 idiots are going to form a team together, and they are going to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
This season also has Cure Fortune, and we've already kind of briefly touched on it, but Kat, why don't you give a little...
Cure Fortune is purple, which is the best color. And she's got a very pretty design, and she's a terrible meanie.
Yeah.
She shows up as Princess is like, I want to fight, but it's scary. And she just like one-shots the bad guy. And then Princess is like, hello, Fortune, how are you? And then Fortune turns around and goes, we're not friends. We've never been friends. This is all your fault, and I hate you.
Yeah. So this is doing a lot of... showing and not telling. It's doing a lot of like appetizing, trying to get you to watch the next episode to be curious as to what's going on. It's also the 10th anniversary special, as you already mentioned, and I think that's wonderful. I did write down, love the villain general design in this season. I don't actually remember what the villain looked like.
He had like a top hat. He looked like a fancy guy.
He's an ant. He had like the tiny little antenna.
This is another season with bug-themed villains, and man, are they the best. I really like, I don't know the queen's name yet, but she looks like a queen bee.
Yes.
And also, this season has Sentai minions, kind of like Heartcatch had.
Yeah. They explicitly look like, I think it's called Shocker from the very first season of Kamen Rider. So, yeah, no, I love the designs. I love Hime, which is the name of Cure Princess when she's not Cure Princess. She has 0 brain cells, and she's amazing. The bad guys are called Terrabads, which just... Oh, it's so good. I did not expect to like Happiness Charge as much as I did, but I do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure one of the seasons has like fusion stuff where the PreCure like fuse their powers, and I'm pretty sure it's Happiness Charge.
Oh.
So I've been poking at Joel, and I've been like, you want to watch Happiness Charge.
Well, and the intro alluded to this, and I accidentally had the name of it spoiled when I was trying to look up character names, but it appears that this season has transformations, and not just the transformations like you'll see in Witchy a couple of years later, where like they both become Ruby or they both become Aquamarine. It seems to be individual tailored transformation. Princess has like a green one that there's no corresponding version for Pink, whatever her cure name was.
Lovely,
thank you. But Lovely has a red one, and you know how I feel about red dresses in these shows. And, slight spoiler, skip ahead 5 seconds, it's called flamenco form. They're dance-themed transformations. I would be screaming much louder, but I don't want it to sound horrible on mic.
Yeah,
but
you don't
I'm
wanna...
very excited.
Can we talk about how Cure Princess / Hime is Erika Kurumi?
Yeah. She's the prototype for Erika, and I think Erika got a little bit smarter than Hime.
Was Heartcatch later than season 11?
Oh, no, you're right. Heartcatch was 7, I think. So she's a dumbed down Erika from before.
But, like, they're both into fashion. They both have blue hair. They're both little gremlins. I love them.
Yeah. No. She's so good. She had an attack in the very first episode when she was being attacked by the minion where it was like, bullet machine gun punch! Blah, blah, blah,
It
blah,
was
blah, blah.
Princess Machine Gun.
Yes!
And
It's
it was
so
it was a Goma Goma no Gatling.
Desi liked that this episode started with, like, action, because we had a couple of these seasons, like Sweet, like I said, ended with the transformation, but you didn't actually get the fight, and so it's good to, like, actually know where this story is going rather than just getting a lot of, like, exposition that kind of leads somewhere. Also, choosing friends by throwing your rock at whoever you hit. It's just, I already mentioned that. It's just so good. What if she had hit, like, a really terrible person? Like, what if she had hit, like, some mean guy who drinks too much or something? And she's like, you're gonna be my friend.
Oh, man. Imagine her following around this, like... It would be like the giant mean dog and the tiny kitten comics.
Yes. Or, like, she ordered a large. Or she ordered, a medium.
Hime wants no pickles.
I do also really like Hime. Again, slight spoilers. It seems like each of the cures kind of like have like a individual theme, and Hime's is courage. She wants to be courageous, but she just isn't, and she has a really hard time making friends because she has a hard time like going up to someone and talking to them. But Megumi goes up to her and says, "Wow, your dress is so pretty. I've never seen someone fill out a dress so well." That sounds kind of flirty the way I said it, but just like, wow, you look so pretty. And Hime was like, oh yeah, fashion is the greatest thing. You just kind of go and you gotta find the right accessories, and if you mix and match them together, you can be your best self. And like instantly, they've become best friends because Megumi found like the special interest of this girl who usually doesn't talk very much. And I think they fit very well.
I'm excited to see their relationship develop.
Absolutely.
Scale of 1 to 10.
10. Absolutely. How about you?
Yeah, I'd say a 9 or a 10.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited to see where this is going. Not as excited as I am for Doki and Fresh, but it's still high up there.
Okay, yeah, I was about to ask, because I know that you got really excited for Fresh, so how do those two compare? And now we're going to move on to Hugtto PreCure, a series that we know a bit about because good buddy Trey, a friend of the podcast, watched it and discussed it with us very briefly on mic for a previous bonus episode. He had a long Twitter thread. I can't say that I read every single one of them, but I read enough that I have some future knowledge about this season. How does this one start? There's a girl, she's about to go to middle school. She decides she's going to cut her bangs so that she can look adult and hot. Like, she literally says hot in the subtitles that we were watching. But she messes up the bangs and she kind of looks like a dork. She has a younger sister who's like, someday I'm going to be taller than you and you're always going to look like a baby and I'm going to be the hot sister. Like, that's more of that real world sibling relationships that I want for my PreCure. She goes to class. She doesn't want to be seen as a hyper-energetic kid, but she comes across as a hyper-energetic kid. However, she's also a rascal. That's the key word for this girl, rascal. But she eventually ends up she ends up finding a baby who fell from the sky, accompanied by a talking
Hamster.
hamster. She calls it a talking mouse, and every time Harry gets mad and goes, I'm not a mouse. But then the baby and the hamster disappear, and Hannah thinks, best not look into that. And she just goes to school the next day, but then a monster appears, and this baby, this tiny little, like, can't even walk, can't even talk. The only thing that it can really say is like, hug, which is why the series is called PreCure Hug or Hugtto. Hugtto, like hug tomorrow, but the official
English
like copyright is for hug, because Hugtto won't make sense if they ever make a dub of it. But this baby's gonna attack the monster, and this girl goes, you know what? Gonna protect that baby. And she does, and she gets her own transformation, and she becomes Curiel, and she's able to save the day. And that's your succinct summary.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I didn't feel like this was the strongest start, but I do really like Curiel as a character.
Yeah. Her motif is so good, and I really like, we didn't get her in this episode, not her cure transformation, but is it Sayaka? Saka? No, hang on. I wrote down their names. Saya. No. Homare.
How did you forget Homare's name when that's Trey's favorite girl?
I know her face, like I could try to draw her by memory, and I know the little blue ribbon in her hair, but yeah, it takes me a while to learn character names. But Homare, her transformation is perfect. She looks like a flight attendant, and like, cool.
I always want to read her name like it rhymes with promare.
Yeah, absolutely.
Homare. Homare.
But no, it's a really good season. I will agree that I don't know if this first episode sold me on it, but the designs have sold me on it, and other people talking about how great it is. It's the 15th anniversary special, and it involves time stuff. The bad guys are Future Corporation.
I love Future Corporation.
They have to submit forms in order to requisition the right to fight the PreCure in battle.
If you've seen the scene in Alien where the alien queen opens her mouth and a little smaller alien comes out and is like, "Mah," he does that but with a stamp to approve their forms.
Absolutely. The general is kind of a hot guy, but he has kind of like a hot bum look, and I think that's probably intentional. He's probably a bit lazy, if I had to guess what his character motivations were. But yeah, it's interesting. I have another half sentence here. We're back to more realistic. That's all I wrote. That's all I got. Oh, probably more realistic sibling relationships, because I really like the way that she interacted with her sister for all half a second of it.
Now, Joel, this, I feel, is kind of a female rite of passage, so maybe you didn't resonate with it as strongly as Desi and I did watching this. But the moment that we realized she was going to cut her own bangs, we lost our minds. Like, that's, you never cut your own bangs, but every girl does it at some point. Or they have a friend who's stupid enough to do it, and they're like, oh, babe, no, why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, as soon as she said, I'm going to cut my hair in order to look good, it's a secret, I'm not going to tell my parents, I went, well, this is going to go terribly wrong. But I think you're right that I didn't get the same visceral reaction. I didn't get like a, how embarrassing. But I did think this wasn't going to end well.
My version was in middle school, first day of middle school. I tried to dye my hair red, and it came out bright orange. And then I had to go to picture day with bright orange hair.
That's amazing.
My mother was furious.
Yeah, so kind of like what we were saying, Desi was saying that she doesn't really know if she likes this season. She'd be willing to give it a try, watch a few more episodes, but it's kind of basic. But I did find it kind of interesting. I didn't know much about Homare, but I didn't realize that she gives the impression of like someone who doesn't care about school. She's not exactly a delinquent, but she seems to be aloof and kind of like, I don't need friends, flip hair over her shoulder. But every time she sees Hannah talking, no, is that her name? Every time she sees Hannah talking with Saya, the blue girl who is also in the opening and is one of the only characters at the school who has a different color hair. But she kind of has like this little smile. So you can already tell that she is kind of predispositioned to befriending this girl later down the line. Also, Homare is just Kirara. I think they would get along great. I think they have very similar vibes.
Homare is a little more tomboy-y. But yes, the whole like, I don't need friends, I'm cool, I'm independent, I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah, just kind of like the way they're introduced, their color motifs and that sort of thing. The fact that they're both very pretty. This also had, this tipped off my gaydar a little bit because she immediately sees Omere is like, wow, look at those long legs. And I think she mentioned something about Saya being her cute upperclassman or something like that. And so, like, okay, sure, we're back to this.
Hana is obsessed with being a hot, mature woman. And so everyone she sees that she thinks meets her ideal, she's like, that.
I am looking respectfully at it. Well, and I think that's a really interesting way of doing it because the whole theme of this season, you can tell by the evil guys being called, you know, the Tomorrow Corporation or whatever, and they're looking for the Mirai crystal. Like, Mirai means tomorrow. And so, like, yeah, obviously it is a what kind of an adult do you want to be sort of a show. And so her having this fixation on what she thinks she wants to be, that's good. I wonder, this isn't foreknowledge, I literally don't know, but I assume and wonder that what she thinks she wants is not what she actually wants. She doesn't
want what you're really.
She doesn't want to be a hot, stylish adult. What she eventually is going to want is a family, because the baby shows up and she's like, oh my god, it's a baby. And so, like, I think she's going to adopt this child and realize, like, oh, being a mom will be really cool. So, big Sabomi vibes in a way from that as well.
Absolutely. And I think that does it for our discussion of all of these seasons. We finally made it. So we will take a break. We will upload this as its own episode. And then the second half will be coming soon with our discussion of PreCure as a franchise.
Yeah, PreCure as a whole and how these different episodes rank against one another and that sort of thing. And all that good stuff. We say half because, I mean, I guess we don't know what percentage they'll take up. I'm guessing that this episode will be quite a bit longer than the next one, but absolutely, we can't wait to see you.
Thanks for listening.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Bonus episode.
Bonus episode. Bonus
Episode of King of the What Now. Bye, everyone.